you ready? Costa Rica is back for a second year in a row. You might remember last year Tectonic had grown just enough where we could start working with another origin, and we reached out to a longtime friend of ours, Francisco from Exclusive Coffees, and he connected the dots to a producer whose name is Ernesto and works on a farm called Vara Blanca. This is a generational farm, and normally pre-COVID times, we would have gone down to say hello, check out what he's doing, and learn a thing or two. But as we know, the virus is here, it's not going anywhere, so what is the next best thing? We got onto the blower, we had a chat, we recorded on Google Meet, we talked about Costa Rica's socialized healthcare, and we talked about their army or lack thereof. We kind of did a few loops around the sun as we discussed all things Costa Rica, their micro-mill revolution. Is the country still 100% Arabica? And their honeyed process. How did they get into that, and why did it become such a thing for Costa Rica? Anyway, we discussed those topics and many more. You can check them out in the comments section below. It was a great conversation. It was good to catch up with Francisco after such a long time. Put it on in the background. You don't actually have to watch it. You know, it is a podcasty type video type thing. And have a listen. As always, thanks for tuning in and drinking good coffee. Be safe. All right. So, yeah, I mean, you just asked how long have I been in LA, and this is my second time in LA. And this time I moved here in 2016. Yeah. So my wife and I have been here for 4 years now.
And how is Tectonic Coffees? How do you feel with your company, your brand, your performance, of course, now through these circumstances?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, and I'll probably ask you the exact same question next, but I'm doing well. I mean, when this first happened, we saw 60% of our volume just disappear overnight, and we had our delivery driver out making deliveries, trying to get our coffee into our customers' cafes, and their doors were shut, were just locked. And so it was a very scary day. It was March 16, a date I'll never forget. And that was when the mayor of Los Angeles locked down the city, and there was this panic. Everyone panicked and shut their doors. It was a very crazy time. But now we've sprung back a bit. But unfortunately, we've sprung back a bit. We're probably down 40% now from pre-COVID. And unfortunately, we're seeing a few cafe customers close permanently now.
Wow.
Because it's going for too long.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. Well, it's like I was telling you, this big halt in the COVID. In my case, our schedules are attached to meetings, to flights, to visiting mills, to cuppings, to visiting the farm, and my spirit was left behind. So the way I have experienced it is that this stop sudden stop made my physical body wait for my spirit to catch up, and it has been quite an interesting time of now walking my physical body with my spirit. So this is the way I have experienced it, and of course in Costa Rica, a beautiful country, and such a beautiful coffee. We're proud to be Costa Ricans. We're proud to represent good coffees, and working with all the healthy pointings that have to be met, the distance, the washing their hands, alcohol all over, and but we're blessed to still be here alive and in coffee, which coffee is a beautiful bean that it continues to be drunk everywhere. So I think that at some level, and enjoying the coffee journey with this new normal, as they call it, Dito.
Yeah, the new normal. And you and your family are all safe and well?
Yes, my wife, my two girls, thank you for asking, they're safe. Costa Rica, Dito, has a very historical, profound social reforms that happened many years ago, where when we abolished the army back in the 40s, the budget at that moment was transferred from what it was, the army, to education and health. So our health system is quite robust, is quite strong. We have about 25 AAA hospitals. It's over 100 rural clinics in the rural areas, and we have a very solid social system, and it's universal. It's universal. And of course, there's the private hospitals, but the social system in Costa Rica is very, very profound. So I think that has contributed for the Costa Ricans to maintain themselves obedient to the regulations. And yes, we're in good shape. My family's in good shape. Thank you. And in general, the impact that has been more in the cities, San Jose, Alajuela, Heredia, Cartago, the main cities in the Central Valley have had the most impact versus the outskirts, versus the coffee lands or the agricultural lands. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack there, and I have, it makes me think of many questions. I'm curious. You said there that when you talked about the army and it shut down, the government shut it down. Like, can you elaborate on that? What was that? I'm just curious.
The army was abolished back in 1948, and it was a decision made by the president in that time, Jose Maria Figueres, and he decided after a revolution just to shut it down. And I think that was one of the best decisions. Many good decisions have been made, abolishing the army, creating the social systems in Costa Rica. And the other one also has been the national park system, the creation of a national park system. Costa Rica, 30% of the country is protected for national parks. And Dito, that's what has Costa Rica today as tourism is number one industry. And it's a lot because of that biodiversity conservation, that people want to come and see the rainforest, see the beaches, see everything. It's very clean. So also those has been great decisions made in the past. So I think that a blessed country indeed, Dito, a blessed country. Yeah.
Wow. And so does that mean you don't have, do you have any army? Like, are you back? Is there any?
We have what we call a seguridad pública, which is kind of a public security police system, but we don't have tanks or helicopters or weaponry or heavy weaponry. We don't, and as a country we don't need it. Dito, we're very small. We're petite. We are a small farm, a little farm in the world. I mean, we don't have oil or gold or any minerals that people would like to invade us for. So I think that no, Costa Rica is just a protection, seguridad pública that protects, yeah, the system.
Wow. Wow. You know, I'm always, why I really enjoy traveling and getting to talk to people on the ground. I just am always learning about culture and different lifestyles. And I honestly wasn't aware of that happening in 1948 for Costa Rica. I think that's very interesting. I'm going to have to do a bit of reading on that. Thank you. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. The last time I was down in Costa Rica, I was working.
You were kind of well, last time that I remember is you were kind of on a layover for 4 hours or something. You were at a hotel close to the airport or something. But that was kind of in and out. But the like a real last time, I don't know. I think it was, I don't know if it was 6 or 8 years ago or more.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That layover. I think that's the time I missed my flight, my connection flight, and I ended up having to stay at a hotel, an airport hotel that night. That was. I mean, honestly, in my travels, I have done every mistake that you can make in your travels, and that right. was. I remember that was a funny one.
1 second.
Yeah.
Que le vaya muy bien, que Dios la acompañe, que todo le salga bien. Saludos a su esposo. Yeah. Yes. So, in that sense, I don't know, 6 or 8 years, and you used to work in Australia, as I recall.
No, I was working. I was working for Toby's Estate Coffee when they were first setting up in Brooklyn,
New York. Right. Yeah. You started with Toby's Australia, and then you moved to the US, I think. Was it?
Yeah. Well, they had me. Toby's Estate Coffee had me in Singapore for a bit, and I helped them do the first initial design phase for their roastery in Singapore, and then they flew me over to Brooklyn, and we started laying down roots there, and we ended up traveling down, I think, with Adam, Boyd, and then a photographer, Garrett, and Toby ended up meeting us, I believe.
Yeah.
Was that the first time? I think there might have been more than once.
It was, we got some history back. You've been in Costa Rica, and we thank you for continuing that appreciation for our country, our coffee, and our relationship. I think that's a nice thing about coffee, and how it joins people, and it keeps the relationships alive, the spirits alive, and if it's a beautiful drink that makes an impact to families, it's even better.
It really is, and my only regret is that we didn't start. When I started my own business, is that we didn't start working with you sooner. We just wanted to keep things very small and very tight, and then we slowly were just adding origins. And but this is our second year working with you, and Vara Blanca. So because I haven't been down there, I'm wondering, can you tell us a little bit about?
Sure. Well, as you know, Costa Rica has been going through a micromill transformation, a micromill revolution, a new trend that started 13, 15 years ago. And when we started an exclusive in the garage, as you remember, in Escazú, it was only about 4 or 5 micromills. Today, Costa Rica has 182 registered micro mills. And in fact, Vara Blanca, which is Hermanos Valso micro mill, it's a new kid on the block. It's of the third generation, as we call it, micro mills, located in Vara Blanca de Dota, in the Tarrazú region. Tarrazú region has 3 areas: León Cortés, Tarrazú, and Dota. So in Dota, there's a beautiful terroir, a beautiful microregion called Vara Blanca. And in that space of Vara Blanca, that's where the Valverde Solis family established a Valso micromill. Valso, it's the short for VAL Valverde and SO Solis. Valso micromill in the Vara Blanca region, and their farm is called Vara Blanca. So Ernesto is the youngest. In fact, Ernesto, the kid, Ernesto is very young. Ernesto, I think he's not even 25, 28 years old. But Ernesto, his mother and his father have lived in New York State for many years, working in landscaping and taking care of a house, of an estate. And they had this farm here in Dota, and Ernesto decided to start flying down for some months during harvest and start his own little project 4 years ago. It's one of the most recent micro mills, and he's been very successful. Small volume. He doesn't do more than 60, 80 bags a year. He does beautiful work at the farm and at the mill. And his plan is to still go to the U.S. to work, make some earnings, and then come back. But his plan is to establish in Costa Rica in order not to go back to the U.S. His parents live in the U.S. They're ticos, both as well, from the Dota Valley, and they also fly down in Cosecha. Ernesto sees his future in the micromilling, in the farming of coffee in Dota Valley. So Tectonic Coffees as a relationship for Valso, Vara Blanca, in their name and representing them, we want to thank you for continuing, starting this relationship and continuing the relationship, and hopefully for many years to come, as it's a project that is going to continue growth. 1,700 meters above sea level, 17 to 1,800 meters above sea level. We all know the history of Dota Valley. We all know the terroir of Dota Valley, how it has, the Dota Valley is home of many COE, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and many, many more. And the Dota Valley has, microclimate conditions that are just the best for coffee. So yeah, so it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and we look forward to your visit someday after this passes, so you can come and visit their micromill and farm.
Yes, would love to get back down there. It's been too long. So you said it's a new farm. They've only been harvesting for 4 years now?
They've been micromilling for 4 years. But they have the farm. They've had the farm in the family for many years, because all of the Dota families, the Dota Foundation for I don't know, 50, 80, 100 years, it's been coffee. So they've been inheriting that farm from the parents and grandparents. Micromilling, it's 4 years, yes.
Okay, right. So it's that, so it's been a generational farm, and then they've just built a micro mill on it 4 years ago. Absolutely.
Remember that before the micro mill revolution, the producers would deliver their cherries to a local mill, a local co-op. And now the Dota Valley has 10 to 12 micro mills in that small valley. So it has been also a multiplication of families empowering themselves, and that's where we come and we coach. We give them advice. We give them schooling. We cup with them during harvest. We do some teachable moments in harvest, and And then Tectonic comes, and many roasters that are willing to recognize premium for the quality in order to impact and open and maintain those long-term relationships. Yes.
Mm. And so what is their process there? How are they processing the coffee? Is it what?
They are doing, yes. Well, a micro mill is this small unit where you can pulp, you can crib or separate the impurities, and you can mechanically wash in the same unit. It's very small. It's maybe 2 square meters, the machine. And he pulps and he does mechanically wash coffees. We've had both. We've had honeys and washed both. Tasting exceptionally good because of the small volume. What we've experienced, Diton, is that the micro mills that are very artisanal, that are small volume, sun dried, and still maintain those first steps, baby steps, those continue with great quality. When they start to grow like to bigger volumes or triple or quadruple their volumes, is when we need to start adjusting in order to be consistent in the quality levels. Like any company, as we start to grow, we need to, calibrate the screws so the machine doesn't fall apart. But they are still artisanal, very artisanal, and it's 100% sun dried. They have not yet invested in a mechanical dryer. So you've experienced the coffee now, and I think that it's a great coffee. It's a great cup.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. That's interesting. And so you've brought up the micro mill revolution, which sounded like it started off around 13 years ago, or more or less. It sounds like you've democratized micro milling. I almost, as a roaster, relate it to that many cafes now are roasting their own coffee. I wonder what sort of impact, positive or negative, has it had, I guess, on the milling industry, if more and more people are doing their own?
It's a great question and a great observation. When the micro mill revolution started, I'd say Costa Rica was kind of the leader in that area, in the micro lots and the honey processing. Yet, as the niche market grew, also the micro mills countrywide, and not only countrywide, and now all Central America, Mexico, even Africa. Now everybody's doing micro milling, everybody's doing micro lots, everybody's doing new processing systems. There's a new generation, a younger generation of producers with good sense, with that need to learn and bringing out beautiful qualities. But our experience in exclusive Deaton has been that at some level, too much sometimes is not that beneficial. So we've seen how there's a lot of offer, a lot of production of micro lots, and the niche market, it's not going at the same speed of production. That's what we feel. Yet there's growth in the niche market. There's growth of new shops, new roasters. But this halt, this stop that the coronavirus made to the world, I think it's going to settle a little bit. And regretfully, I think some small ones are going to suffer. And what this does, basically, back to your question, is that the micro mill revolution has impacted in a positive way many coffee families. It has brought a new sense to Costa Rica and the coffee. It has brought a new aroma to Costa Rica and the coffee. And it has really discovered that Costa Rica and the soil and the conditions with perfect agronomical maintenance, with good milling practices, we have very nice coffees, exemplary coffees. So we went from the macro milling or the big mega milling to the micro milling, micro lots development, And this has brought a lot of teaching, a lot of education, a lot of knowledge. And now it's about varietals. And it's amazing because we used to only produce 3-4 varietals, Caturra, Catuai, Villasachica, Timor. And now we have, I don't know, lots of varietals from the geisha family, the Kenya family, the SLs, the Laurina, Bourbon Point 2, Rume Sudan, Típicas Borbones, Wush Wush is another varietal, Sidra is another varietal. So now we have, everybody's experimenting. So it's kind of a, I've always envisioned the Costa Rica to become a wine industry in coffee. That beauty of the varietal, that beauty of the process, and that beauty also of added value to the coffee families. And I think that it has been very positive, the micro mill revolution. Now, from now on, that's to wait and see, and we hope that the market doesn't get too hurt, the niche market or the micro roasting market after this coronavirus.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Well, you just touched on an interesting point. I guess here in America, if a lot of smaller coffee companies go out of business, how will that trickle back to origin? I guess that's something we need to watch, because it's really an unknown, and we don't know what this year will bring us still, particularly in America. I mean, the COVID virus here is sort of coming down in cases per day, but peaking in other states. So we don't know. There's so many questions. The one thing I noticed about Costa Rica was how many people started experimenting with honey process. You've taken something that was traditionally in Brazil a very sort of standardized thing, and you've made it artisanal. So when did you guys start to notice, or when did honey in all its various shades start to become popular in Costa Rica?
The honey process is we as an origin country are known for the honey processed coffees, and I think that this process must be done in a very careful way, because it's not that easy to produce and to process and to come out with beautiful honey, because it's try and cup, try and cup, try and cup, and in this sense, you could have great honeys, as well as you could have honeys that don't make it to up to par to the 86 point level of the micro lot cupping. But anyway, the honeys came to Costa Rica from the Ili Cafe group that in Brazil they do the descascado process, which is very similar to the honey, and that's how it came here. They told us many years ago to start leaving the mucilage on the pergamino, and that's how that mucilage on the pergamino dries to the sun, and it brings particular flavors of sweetness, of molasses, of good flavors. Now, the best honeys we've seen are the ones that are done in very small batches of high density beans, because like any process, if it's low density beans, then at the end the sugar becomes bacteria when it's left, the mucilage, and the bacteria eats the solids of the bean, and that's where we have Quaker and semi-Quaker during the roasting process. So that's where we have to be a little careful, Deaton, are you there? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So
I've got
that's
you.
where we have to be very careful with the honey. Now, we also do naturals and now in aerobics but it's interesting, Deaton, because in the past 4 or 5 years, many markets that used to request honeys moved to white honeys or washed coffees, to more washed coffees, because the washed coffees that are of high density, they tend to be brighter in the cup, and that's what many buyers. But still people look for honeys. Still, honeys can be beautiful on espresso, but again, we have to be very careful with the Quaker and semi-Quaker presence during the process. During the roasting is where you identify the Quaker and semi-Quaker, but that's depending on how well you did the honey and how dense the bean is.
Yeah. I mean, I've had an interesting journey with that process. I think initially for me, I didn't ever touch it, but now there is a demand for that sort of process and the sort of flavor that can produce. Particularly, there's a lot of high-end specialty cafes or baristas that seemingly want more and more natural process. I still haven't bought natural processed coffees because I don't like the flavor, but I think the honey is a sort of a nice sort of in between. Good. And then so I just want to jump back to the virus real quick. Did it I've been talking to a few people at Origin now, and it seems like a lot of countries had actually finished harvest before COVID virus actually hit. How did Costa Rica handle it, and what was the timing of it?
Well, when the COVID came, in fact, we were on the last leap of the harvest, and we did not know much about it. Our early ripening seasons start in September, October, and they end in December. Our medium ripening seasons start in November, it ends in January. And then the higher elevations, the late ripening season starts in January, it ends in March. So by the time COVID hit Costa Rica, we were on the last leap of the harvesting. So the question is, now as we speak, we're having some issues on hand labor for harvesting, because we depend from Nicaragua and Panama for the harvesting of our coffees, Nicaragua hand labor and Panamanian hand labor. The government authorized Panamanian hand labor, and there's a lot of protocols that are being developed and met at the farm level, protocols that have been developed and studied by the Ministry of Health with ICAFE, with the Ministry of Labor and the immigration officials. So now at a farm level in Costa Rica, you have to meet a very strict protocol of separating the pickers, give them a row and a half for picking. Here we call it rows. So a picker is in row number 1, another picker is going to be in row number 3, another picker in row number 5. So it's going to be each 2 rows. And then as they finish those rows, the next day, a picker in row number 2, the other one in 4 and 6 and 8, and so forth. We have to have potable water. We have to have separation at the camps. We have to have alcohol. We have to have sanitary soap. Pickers have to wash their hands before eating food. They have to wash their hands before picking. So, the other side of the coin, I feel that our harvest is going to have awesome quality because of this strict sanitary controls. I mean, that cherry is going to be picked with the most cleanest hands ever. And,
right.
and it has to be picked very slowly as well because of that separation. So I think that we're going to have great quality. I think that 2021 is going to be spectacular quality, and I also believe that there's going to be a lot of education going on because of this. So that education is going to be transferred to the coffee plant through the pickers. So that's going to have to react into great quality. Spectacular quality.
Well, that's good, man. I mean, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. It's a very, we need to find silver linings in this world. There's a lot of heartache at the moment, and I'll take that silver lining that you just gave us, and I'll look out for the next harvest for sure. So now, when I was last there, I seem to remember you telling me that Costa Rica was or still is 100% Arabica country.
Yes, absolutely. Yet last year in December, the National Coffee Congress, I need to research a little bit, but I understand that now I think it's possible to plant Robusta in the lowlands, but there's a discussion going on right now on that. So I need to find out. For now, as I understand, it's 100% Arabica, and if the discussion continues and they 100% approve, in the lowlands there's some coffee producers that are lobbying to plant coffee on the lowlands, mainly Robusta, to bring hand labor to those areas and to produce more volume. But of course, the e-cafe, which is our fiscal established protocol. So the species the species are not blended. Arabica and Robusta. Yeah.
Wow. And okay. So that is that's an interesting topic that's happening now in Costa Rica. Yet something else to keep an eye on. That's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, of course. Of course, in our circle of influence or circle of family and exclusive, we don't. I mean, we're in the niche market. We're in the market where you are, and many coffee friends are in the market where you are worldwide. So I don't see a need for the high grown coffees to plant Robusta. That if that happens, that would be between 500 meters above sea level to 1,000 meters above sea level, something like that.
Look, at the end of the day, if planting Robusta helps the economy and gets people working, and I'm not opposed to it. I just found it was an interesting tidbit about Costa Rica. When did they first make Costa Rica 100% Arabica, or has that always been the case? It's just
I think that was established around the 80s.
The 80s.
And I think it was a decision made based on quality and market price. I think it was both, and they decided to just abolish the planting and production of Robusta and leave it as 100% Arabica country, which is very cool. If you analyze, there's a lot of weight and a lot of power in the specialty markets to say 100% Arabica. Yet there is a lot of new technology now applied to Robusta, where they're washing it. And as I understand, there's some Robustas that are starting to cup 80 points, 82 points, and that's a big improvement. Imagine that as a coffee producer, if you get washed Robustas of 82 points, you have a double as much production of Arabica, of an 82 point Arabica. So it could become a competitive crop,
Wow. Well, I hope so, because the last time I I was a judge for the Best of India harvest. It was what harvest? It was, I think, 2009 or 2010, and we cupped a table of Arabica and a table of Robusta, and the table of Robusta, let me tell you, needed a lot of improvement.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, that's all good. Look, I think that's I think we've covered a lot of ground there, and I think we could probably wrap it up. So I just want to thank you for taking time out of your day,
You're
and
welcome. You're welcome.
really good to see you again. It's really good to see you again, and
Good to see you. Good to see you too, and say hello to your family. You have a beautiful wife, and you don't have kids yet, do you?
No, not yet, but one day we hope.
Well, you're gonna be definitely you're gonna be blessed with a kid, and it's so beautiful when you have kids at home. I got a beautiful 16-year-old girl and a 13-year-old girl, and girls drive you as a father crazy, and they become your treasures. So as I say, I spend my time and my budget in 3 beautiful women: my wife and my 2 girls. Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, good. Congratulations. All right. Well, look, don't leave. I'll just turn everything off.